How's it going, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Mavs Step Back Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Drew Johnson. The Mavs crap their pants tonight. I think that's on the defensive end, at least. I mean, it was just I don't know any other way to describe it. It was that bad. They played the Indiana Pacers, came into the night 4-2. They got a win over a depleted Orlando Magic team, and looking to build some momentum. The Pacers came into American Airlines Center and beat the Mavs on Monday night, 134-127. It was a layup line. The Pacers were also hitting a ton of threes. They shot, both teams shot over 40% from three. The Mavs actually hit two more threes than the Pacers did in this game, but the Pacers had 11 more fast break points. They had nearly 20 more points in the paint. The Pacers had 76 points in the paint in this game. Unbelievable. Now look, just as a disclaimer, Derek Lively did miss this game. So that affects a lot. But still, you should not be giving up 76 points in the paint. It was atrocious to watch. They also lost the rebounding battle. Miles Turner, if Miles Turner played every single game the same way he plays against the Mavs in Dallas, he would have 5 rings right now. He would be challenging Michael Jordan for rings if he played every game like he did in Dallas. He loves coming back home and playing at American Airlines Center. So, but shout out to him. He was great. He had 30 points and 10 rebounds. Halliburton was also great, 25 points, 12 assists. Siakam had 23 points. Ben Mathurin had 16 points. I mean, everybody on the pace. TJ McConnell off the bench had 12. Obi Toppin had 11. I mean, it just balanced scoring all around for the Pacers. And then on the Mavs side of things, Luka, he led the way with 34 points and 15 assists. But again, the efficiency wasn't there. He was 9 of 24 from the field. 12 of his 34 points came from the free throw line. Kyrie Irving was pretty solid, even though he missed some easy shots that he would normally make. It was very reminiscent of that Phoenix loss, DJ, where the Mavs were just missing chippies. They were missing these easy shots that they normally make. PJ Washington couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat tonight. He was 3 of 11. Did have 11 rebounds and 3 blocks, played great defense, but man, PJ's got to be a little bit more consistent on the offensive end. Najee Marshall, this was arguably his most complete game of the season. There is no arguably. It was his most complete game of the season. Mm-hmm. Had a season high 20 points, had 6 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 8 of 9 from the field, hit both of his threes. So you just hate to see something like that go to waste because the Mavs, their overall defensive effort was piss poor. And let's just call it what it is. The Pacers have the Mavs number. More specifically, Rick Carlisle has his old team's number. This is now the Pacers' 5th win in Dallas in their last 6 tries. So it's one of those things where it's just one of those teams that has their number. And I believe the Mavs overall are a better team than the Pacers when it comes down to it. Like if we get into a playoff basketball scenario, I think the Mavs are better. But it's early season. The Mavs, the first quarter woes bit them in the ass again. They lost the first quarter 36-29 in this one, and they were playing catch up throughout the rest of the game. Very frustrating because they'd close the gap, they'd get close, they'd take a 1-point lead or they'd tie it, and then the Pacers were just relentless. And hats off to them. They were relentless. They kept their foot on the pedal, and they came in and got a big road win. The Mavs playing on the second night of a back-to-back. So very frustrating. It was one of those games where, you could kind of feel your blood pressure rising a little bit with every single make the Pacers had. But that's enough of my angry rant to start this pod. What did you think about that game, DJ?
A lot of what I think echoes a lot of what you have said. We couldn't stop anybody. I mean, so I don't know how deep of a basketball nerd you are, just as far as knowing everything that's happened in the game. But have you ever heard of the Grinnell system?
The what system?
The Grinnell system. So Grinnell College back in the day, this would have been back when I think you and I were in high school. They had a guy score 110 points in a single game because all the Grinnell system is just running up and down the floor and shooting threes and pressing. So what we saw tonight was very reminiscent of that. I've coached against a few teams that ran that, and that's what it reminded me a lot of. It's just offense, just running up and down the floor shooting. And I'll be damned if the Mavs didn't get caught up in it. We could not get a stop to save our lives. And scoring's great, but tonight is a primary example that no matter how much you score, if you can't get stops, it doesn't matter. Mavs
scored 127 points in this game, and it never once felt like they were actually going to win the game.
No.
That's ridiculous.
That is absolutely horrible. So they need to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate what their goals are defensively, if they have any, because tonight it didn't seem like they had any.
It was awful. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, this is the Pacers, it's not like they've been outstanding. They're only, after this game, that was just their third win of the season. They came into this game 2-4. And they were 1-3 on the road coming into this game too. So now they're 3-4. The Mavs fall to 4-3. Like I said, it's just one of those situations where the Pacers have the Mavs number. We got to call it for what it is. And Rick Carlisle, look, Jason Kidd, we've praised him for the great job he's done in 3 years. You don't just, I know the Mavs have star power, especially with Luka in the 2 separate runs to the Western Conference Finals and then last year to the NBA Finals. So I get it. He has a lot of talent on these rosters, but you don't just, if you're a bad coach, you don't help lead a team that far 2 times in 3 years. So, Jason Kidd has been an excellent coach, but when it comes to this specific matchup against the Mavs' former coach and Rick Carlisle, Rick just coaches circles around J. Kidd. He calls timeouts at the perfect time. He puts the exact perfect personnel in the game to match up against whatever the Mavs are doing. He has all of his guys, everybody on the page. Like I know they still gave up 127 points, but you could feel more defensive intensity from the Pacers tonight than you could from the Mavs. And that's weird to say because of how many points they gave up. But, you could just tell, especially in that fourth quarter when the game was still in the balance, you felt like the Pacers had more attention to detail than the Mavs did on that end of the floor. And that's ultimately, what won them the game. And it was, I'm a believer in, you have to get the monkey off of your back somehow. And the Mavs have to find a way to do that because it just felt like they were cursed at certain points in that fourth quarter where they cut. There was a point where I think they were down. It was 118-116 with 4 minutes left or something like that. And back-to-back possessions, they got lucky. They got lucky because Halliburton had missed some free throws. So they got lucky there, came back down the other way. Klay Thompson, wide open 3 in transition, missed it. Well, then they come back again on the other end of the floor, and I think they forced a Siakam miss. It's like, oh, okay, so basically two stops in a row. You have 2 possessions where the Pacers didn't get points, a rarity in this game. Surely you're going to take advantage, right? Well, Luka comes back down on the other end. He misses a 3. and then the Pacers come back down on the other end and score, and it's like, okay, well, we this is a loss. So they just couldn't get it done. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Obviously, it would have helped to have Derek Lively, but even Derek Lively, I don't know if he would have changed much big picture wise for how this game went. I mean, the Mavs would have gotten, I think they would have played Miles Turner a little bit better, but Miles Turner just goes nuts every time he plays in Dallas. So I don't know. What do you think? How big of a difference do you think Lively would have made?
Miles Turner was going to Miles Turner tonight. Okay. I mean, he was outstanding. I don't know that Derek Lively would have made that much of a difference because he was hitting shots with hands in his face all night long. Okay. Granted, he did get some wide open looks that I was not pleased with, but I mean, the guy was able to score whether you had someone on him or not. Like, let's just call it what it is. Miles Turner goes unconscious whenever he plays against the Mavericks at American Airlines. Okay? That's just the way things are. What I'm concerned about is the 4 other people on the floor that we could have done a much better job on. And it all begins, I mentioned this a couple pods ago, it all begins at the point of attack defender, right? The very top of the defense. Whenever we match up with whoever's handling the ball, we have a really bad habit on closeouts of running at somebody and just letting them go right by us. We don't break down. We don't slide our feet. We don't try to keep them in front. We just blow right by. And what does that do? That forces the shot blocker to step up. Nobody rotates on the backside. So what does that leave? Either having a wide open lob or a backdoor cut, or my personal favorite, a freaking offensive rebound that we give up so many of. So we've got to reevaluate what our goals are on defense and understand that every aspect of it matters, not just certain portions of it. And I think that we fall in love a little bit too much with all the shot blocking that we have. Yeah, rim protectors are great, but when your rim protectors are also your most efficient rebounders on the floor, you really don't like for them to go outside of the paint and contest shots, because guess where they're not at that point? Around the rim, right? They're not where you need to be to get defensive rebounds. So the people out front, the people defending the perimeter, have got to do a better job of just keeping people in front of them.
Yeah. Well, and look, what this game taught me tonight, and really it should have taught it to us last season and the season before. But, if the Pacers had somehow beat the Celtics last year and that finals matchup had been Mavs Pacers, I don't know if I would have survived it, DJ. I would have died. I mean, I don't think I could have handled it because, again, on paper, the Mavs should be the better team because they have the best player in hypothetical series. But I just, like I said, they have the Mavs number, and I could easily see, that would hurt so bad to have your former coach win a title over you. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Yeah. But I'm gonna have to cool the returning to the NBA Finals talk for a little bit until I know we're only 7 games into the season, but until the Mavs get some of these things figured out, I'm going to cool my talking, my expectations, I guess, of the Mavs getting back to the NBA Finals. They have the pieces to do it, but, they've got to iron out some of these, specifically getting off to the slow starts. And I don't know how they're going to fix that unless they change the starting lineup. That's going to be either the starting lineup is going to have to nut up and, just do what they have to do to get off to a better start, or Jason Kidd's going to have to take matters into his own hands and make a shakeup, because Najee Marshall's playing really good now. He's broken out. He's feeling comfortable. If Klay Thompson, and like you said in the last pod, I think it can work. I think it can work with Klay Thompson in the starting lineup. But, if take PJ Washington, for example, he's been very good defensively. But if he's going to keep shooting 3 of 11 every other night, maybe you put Najee Marshall in there and just see what he can do with the rest of that starting group, and bring PJ off the bench with Derek Lively for a super 4-5 bench combo there. So that's where I'm at. There's a lot of things that need to come together. Luka's still got to be better with his efficiency and being consistent in that department. But specifically, they have to get these first quarter deficits under control. Because like their former coach, Rick Carlisle, used to always say, it is a first quarter league. You know, more times than not, if you win the first quarter, you're going to end up winning the game. That's how the numbers roll. So the Mavs have to get it figured out.
I have praised Kidd a lot. We both have. But I will be the first to admit this. To begin the game, he doesn't need to just defer to Luka and Kyrie and go with, ISO ball or even a high ball screen. He needs to be running things to get his other people involved, specifically Klay Thompson. But I would like to see other pieces involved as well, because the reality is this. What two players are teams most focused on defensively right off the bat? Luka and Kyrie. Right? Exactly. So why not run some stuff for one of the best shooters of all time that you have? And you've also got other offensive weapons out there too. If they have Najee Marshall in there in favor of PJ Washington, we saw what Najee can do tonight whenever he actually gets it going. And Daniel Gafford, by God, he can do some things in the low post too. And when if Derek Lively ever starts, you can run some things for him. I think that the move is going to someone besides Luka and Kyrie to begin the game, get the other pieces going. That way it opens up the floor for these isolation plays that we seem to find ourselves running over and over and over again. And that's always been one of our issues, hasn't it? Even last year, it was one of our issues, was just deferring ISO ball. We need an offense, and this ain't it. What we've been seeing the majority of each of offensive possessions in each game, this ain't it. It just isn't.
I have my own thoughts on this particular topic that you just laid out your thoughts about. I'm going to give them on the other side of our break here. We're going to pay a few bills. I'll be right back. What's up, y'all? We're taking a quick break to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Want to play Prize Picks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, and MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code STEPBACK to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code STEPBACK on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. I wish I could use promo code STEPBACK to get the time back that I spent watching that layup line for the last 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
I wish things, worked out that way. But hey, at least one of my basketball teams won tonight. I didn't really like the Mavs having a 8:45 tip-off time, but it worked out because Southern Miss basketball opened their season tonight, and that game started at 7, and they ended up winning. So it was a split night for me. But yeah, going back to that topic we were talking about, and you said that got to get the other guys involved early. I agree with that. Now, maybe it didn't happen as early as we wanted to, But I mean, Luka did have a very good passing game in this one. He ended up with 15 assists. But to your point, a lot guys need to have that going a lot earlier in the game. My thing is, and maybe you can explain this better to me, but I get the feeling that the Mavs offense isn't coming as easy as it should be when you have three dynamic guys like Luka, Kyrie, and Klay Thompson. We thought, and I mean, look, Klay, he is a seamless fit, but it seems like it's been a little bit tougher to get him, open looks here lately. What is the reasons for that? Is it because, guys like PJ Washington, like tonight, for example, PJ Washington went 0 of 5 from 3. So, like, our team's just not guarding PJ on the 3-point line and, cheating over and making things tighter on the other 4 players? Or what's the reason for that? Because I feel like as talented as the Mavs are, some of these, and I mean, this sounds ridiculous saying this after a game where the Mavs put up 127 points. Obviously, defense was the main issue in this one, but I had this feeling of the offense just being a struggle at times. Why am I feeling like that?
It's because there's no movement. You look at the majority of our offensive sets, if you want to even call them that, but we'll call them that just for definition's sake. You generally have, either a point guard at the top, 2 wings, and then 2 corners, or if you have a post player in there, like an actual post player, you have them in the ball opposite dunker spot. And literally nothing happens. Nobody moves. It is all predicated on Luka and Kyrie either attacking the lane or stepping back and shooting. I saw so many possessions like that, and it literally made me want to rip my hair out. The reason things aren't working right is because we have absolutely no offensive movement the majority of the time. This is a really interesting way of illustrating this. Guns don't shoot unless you pull the trigger, right? Yeah. And guns don't shoot things unless you point the gun at them, right? It's sort of the same way with, really good offensive players. They don't make an impact unless you know how to utilize them correctly. You don't utilize Klay Thompson by just telling him to go camp on the wing or in the corner. You have him run off ball screens, or off ball screens, rather. You have him run off ball screens. That's
yeah.
You may have to. You have to run him off screens. You have to run actions to get him open to make him effective. Klay Thompson is not somebody that is just going to break someone down off the dribble when it's his turn to have the basketball and then drill a 3 in someone's face. He's not that guy. The reason he was one of the most prolific shooters ever in Golden State is because he got the looks based off of the offense, the motion offense, the Warriors motion offense that we all talk about all the time. All the looks that he got were based off of that offense. Then you get to Dallas where everything is way more stagnant right now, at least. That can't happen. Kid, and unfortunately, I hate to put the blame on Kid here, but he has to run better sets. He has to run things with more movement to get his players open, to put them in the best situation possible to score. And right now, we're just not doing that. Right now, we're running a spread offense pretty much, and we're telling Luka and Kyrie to go create, which I'm fine with if the clock's going down or whatever, every other play, go get a bucket. But whenever we need points and we need to get people going earlier in the game, we need to run some stuff. We need to run some things with some actual structure, some backside movement, move the defense. Because even though you may not get an open look for who you're drawing it up for, you're moving the defense, specifically the backside of the defense, and somebody is going to get open off of these sets. But you're not going to get any kind of progress if you're just telling people to go stand in a corner and then wait for their turn to shoot.
Well, part of me, and I may just be overthinking it here, but part of me wonders if the rest of the league has kind of caught up to what the Mavs were doing at the end of last season. Because, I mean, I haven't looked up the exact numbers, but teams are absolutely taking away the lob from the Mavs to start this season. And the lob was such a big part of that run to the finals. Like, it felt like nobody could stop it. Now, given, you know, a lot of that had to do with Luka and Kyrie being relentless attacking the basket too. But you know, it feels
PJ
like
also shot the ball better from the corner. That's another big thing.
Yeah.
PJ was shooting the ball much better, especially like in the playoffs. I don't think he shot the ball very well in the finals. I don't think he shot the ball particularly well against the Thunder either. But
no, the Thunder is where he went off. Every other series was kind of average. The Thunder, he shot like almost 50%, I think, from three.
Well, there you go. That's why it worked so well.
Yeah.
And the reason it worked so well against Minnesota is because Rudy Gobert would just drop back and drop coverage, and we would just dunk on him every time. So, I mean, you know, it's all about matchups. Basketball is all about matchups. And what we have to understand is whenever they intentionally take something away, that means they're having to give us something in return. And right now, we're just not finding it. And whenever we do find it, we don't capitalize. And a lot of times what they're giving us is a open PJ Washington from three who has shot an abysmal percentage thus far. So we need to change. We need to evolve. We need to do something different. And I know Jason Kidd has got a whole bunch of things that he could probably be running. I mean, the guy has probably forgotten more about basketball than either of us will ever know. It's time to utilize it.
Yeah. Just to give everybody a snapshot of PJ Washington. Now, again, defensively, PJ Washington, I'd argue that he is challenging for like an all defensive team spot with his individual defense that he's played so far. He's been amazing on that end of the floor. Coming into tonight's game, I don't have the updated percentage, but coming into tonight's game, he was shooting 26.9% from three. And then he went 0 of 5 from three in this game against the Pacers. So he might be getting close to dipping under 20% at this point. So he's got to get it together because, like you said, especially those corner threes, like he missed a couple of them tonight where it was wide open from the corner. You got to hit them. So, yeah, look, it was disappointing. We're not going to overreact too much. We're just, you know, we see things and we have to talk through them, I guess. And, you know, just kind of, it makes me feel better because it makes me, you know, I'm watching that game tonight and I just feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Like, why is this happening? But it always feels good to talk through it. And I'm not going to overreact too much. I mean, we're 7 games into an 82-game season, and the Mavs are 4-3. But, I mean, man, this it's just frustrating because you see the potential there. You see the talent. And then you see that record of 4-3, and it's like, man, this team should be better than 4-3 right now. Mm-hmm. And look, these games are important. These games are important for seeding down the line. Like, I get it. There's a growing curve that you have to go through when you add new pieces to a roster, but you need to try and get that fixed as soon as possible so you can rack up wins, and then you're not stressing out on the back half of the season. Trying to make sure you're above that play-in line. You need to get it together now and start racking up these wins and secure home court so you can rest your guys ahead of the postseason if needed, and you don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. So we'll see how it goes. One more thing I wanted to bring up before we take off here, DJ. In the last pod, we kind of talked about how Jason Kidd's bench rotation appears to be set for the foreseeable future. Well, tonight, you know, the 4 guys that we said it was Derek Lively, Najee Marshall, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Quentin Grimes. Well, tonight, with Derek Lively out, it was Najee Marshall getting 34 minutes off the bench, Spencer Dinwiddie 23 minutes, Quentin Grimes 10 minutes, and then Dwight Powell got 7 minutes just by default because he's the only other center on the roster. So, Instead of going to guys like, giving Markeith Morris or Omax Prosper or, guys like that a few minutes here or there, he just upped everybody, those other three guys' minutes. So that's definitely his bench rotation going forward unless something crazy happens. It's going to be Najee Marshall, Derek Lively, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Quentin Grimes. And look, shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie. He has come in and he is pretty much, it's going to be very hard for Jaden Hardy to try and, get that spot back from him because like tonight, for example, 23 minutes off the bench. He was 6 of 8, hit 2 of his 3 threes, had 3 rebounds, had 14 points in this game. So he was a big reason for why the Mavs were able to keep it close at times when it felt like the game was starting to slip away from them. So good stuff. Maybe Spencer Dinwiddie can keep up that going forward and the Mavs can come together as a collective group and have all this figured out going into the rest of this homestand. So, oh man, DJ, I did not see this homestand starting out the way it has. I'm going to the schedule now just to see. I know they're off for a day. Let's see. So they're 1-2 on this homestand right now. Lost to Houston, then beat Orlando in a blowout, then lost to Indiana. 2 single-digit losses. That hurts a lot. And then Wednesday, they'll take on the Chicago Bulls, and then they'll finish off the homestand on Friday against the Phoenix Suns, which should be a fun matchup, as always, before they go on a 3-game road trip at Denver, at Golden State, where Klay Thompson will make his much-anticipated return to the Bay, and then they'll finish it up against Utah on the road, too. So some fun ones coming up. We're excited that, we have all this basketball every other day now, or in the case of tonight, the very next night because of the back-to-back. But it's been fun so far. Kind of frustrating, too, when you have games like tonight. But, it is what it is. That comes with the territory. So any closing remarks before we head out here?
Offensively, we got to be better. We have to be more creative. We got to be more inventive. We need to evolve. And defensively, we got to pay more attention to detail and actually understand that the little things do matter and do those little things to the best of our ability. And if we do those 2 things, we have to do those 2 things. I know we're going to cool our jets, but I'm not, because I know the potential of this team. And I know the expectations of this team. And I'm going to continue to have those expectations because, damn it, we have the talent to do something special. And right now we're underperforming, and we need to get our shit together.
Well, I know one thing. I do not want to see very many games without Derek Lively this season.
Yeah.
First game he misses this season, and the Mavs give up a season worst 134 points. So, and it was weird too. Apparently, he sprained his shoulder in pregame warmups. Nothing happened in the previous game. It apparently happened in warmups, and then he didn't play. So, hopefully, he's good to go when the Mavs play the Bulls on Wednesday. But guys, look, we appreciate y'all coming in and listening to us every single time we come on here. We appreciate it. Be sure to go like, rate, and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and on Apple Podcasts. If you want to be entered for future giveaways, we give away T-shirts. We give away every now and then we'll do ticket giveaways. We will do that at some point this season. Go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and put your social media at, and it'll automatically throw your name into the hat for said giveaways. Guys, we appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and we will see you Wednesday night when the Mavs play the Bulls.